I'm really excited about this. So we are very fortunate. I think one of the things that's fun about these conversations and these events like this is just actually getting into it on like the ground with a real benefits leader, kind of doing the thing in the moment. And I'm so grateful to have Tina here with me. And I'll say a little bit about Kiavi, which is Tina's company, and then we'll talk a little bit about, I think, what we wanted to kind of share is just like what a real partnership sort of looks like in the wild. And so Kiavi, which is Tina's company, is a Pittsburgh-based fintech. It's one of the largest private lenders for residential real estate investors. They've got over $12 billion in funded loan. Kiavi is really a technology company and a lender. Tina runs their entire benefits and payroll operation, solo, no team, all by herself. There's almost 500 employees that she serves too. So this is a big job with a lot of leverage. And Tina, maybe we'll even like kick off with that sort of thread. I think this, when we were preparing I'm going to read it. You said, yeah, you've described yourself as an accidental benefits leader. And what's funny about that is like I've heard some version of that story from so many HR leaders and benefits leaders. They're like, yeah, someone just said, hey, can you help? And then all of a sudden I ran benefits. And I love that. So maybe take us back, like what was happening when this role landed on you, and then like how did that influence what you were actually looking for, needing in a benefits partner, or broker, et cetera?
Yeah, great question. So I've been with Kiavi mostly on, but off and on for the last about 8-9 years doing payroll. I've been in payroll for about 10 years, very comfortable in that space. And then about 2.5 years ago or so, our benefits program sort of blew up. We had an unfortunate experience with our current broker. We basically, long story short, we were kind of moved in from a fully funded plan to a level funded plan, and without much insight to the additional accounting and legal compliance issues that came along with that. And subsequently, our legal team and finance team were like, no, we got to go back to fully funded, and that kind of made an opportunity for me to step into the benefits role.
So Tina, this is your problem now.
It is my problem now. I mean, I was voluntold that this was my new position, but I was really happy to take on something new, doing payroll, being behind the scenes for 10 years. I was excited about benefits because I really was passionate about doing something for our employees that could really provide them with a program that was really thoughtful and intentional, and something that was really going to show our employees that we care for them. So I was happy to take on this role, but I was also really intimidated because I did not know the ins and outs of benefits. And at the same time, we also decided we're going to get rid of those old brokers and we're going to get new brokers. So we started a search for a new broker team while I was onboarding into benefits, and that's how we came to Nava. Do you want me to talk a little bit about that process?
Cool. Yeah. So, by the way, just to take a pause on that, that is a lot, right? You're like, hey, congratulations, benefits is a total mess. You don't know anything about it. You take it over. And oh, by the way, we're firing that broker that got us into the mess. Go help us figure out who the new broker is.
Yeah,
so I just want to take a beat to go like, that's a crap load of stuff that you're going to deal with.
Yeah, we're also still dealing with the compliance issues, even though we switched back to
follow on. Yeah.
Yeah, we still had to deal with a lot of wrap up on that. So it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
So we interviewed 3 different benefits brokers. I was going to use an analogy, like one was like a dinosaur, but then I couldn't think of another. So I'll just kind of use like what we were really shown. I was really wanting to see, how is this broker going to help me support our employees? That's what was most important to me. So I asked them, what are your resources for employees? And the first broker team, old school broker team, huge firm, they also handled like some of our insurance policies. They showed me this virtual bookshelf that was like, literally you click on it and it opens up a thing that looks like a book. And then the second team, they showed me like a website that was pretty cool. And then Nava came in and they showed us HQ and their AI technology, and it was far above and beyond what the other 2 brokers had available, and I was in love. I was like, these guys are great. And then we had to convince our powers that be at the company, the legal and accounting, finance. They were a little bit more concerned about going with a smaller company, but Nava really stepped up and showed that like they can do the compliance, they can do the support that I needed, and they could really be the partner that we wanted, someone who was going to actually actively take us through our benefits program and make sure they weren't just there to sell us things, but to be our partners.
I love that. Yeah, I think one thing that you said to me too in the lead up was like there was sort of almost this binary, kind of decision point or differentiation, which is like, are you truly going to advocate for our employees? Which I loved. And I think you ran into, I think I remember this too, you ran into what so many HR teams run into, which is like, hey, we're going to try something different and new, and they're not a 100-year-old dinosaur firm. We're going to go with something innovative, and you had to make that case. Too,
we really had to push that case to the people who felt more comfortable with a more established firm, but that's not really what we wanted. We wanted something more than what the old school providers were going to give us.
Yeah. How did you push that case over the finish line?
You probably don't know this, but we almost went with another broker.
Thank goodness. Woo! It's a happy ending.
But we worked with, it was really like legal and IT who were really concerned about compliance and then just the security. And we worked with Nava to say, can you fill out this security? That you guys really went above and beyond with just providing, like every single time we requested more information about your security protocols and your compliance program, and we just presented more and more information to those partners to show them what Nava could do, and passed.
And we passed. Kudos to Rick, wherever Rick is in the room, for getting us through that journey. Rick, I think you had many long nights answering all of those SOC 2 questions and HIPAA compliance questions. Mm-hmm. So that's how we got in. That's how we got into sort of the front door. Maybe talk to me about sort of what Nava looks like day to day, or what your sort of journey with us looks like day to day. And I'll recall it, you're managing benefits solo for a 485 person company. I think you're spread across 25 or 30 states. Mm-hmm. What has it felt like to have Nava in your corner day to day? What's the experience?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, I was really worried about being able to meet the employees' needs and questions. So pretty much right away, I had Nick and Mayela, who's on our team, who's right there.
Miles right there.
They set up a Slack channel with me, so I have them at my fingertips. Anytime I have specific types of questions that I can't answer, I'll send a Slack to them. Mayela writes back. I don't think she sleeps, but she writes back within minutes. And she's, throughout my journey with Nava across the first year, she's really educated me on some of the things that I need to know about benefits. They're really personable, great people to work with. They're really friendly. When they work with our carriers, they're really scary, and they really put the hammer down on them to help us get the best deals. But they're really great people, and I felt like they were really just there with me. They are part of our Kiavi team.
I love that. Yeah, I think that is something that we try to manifest internally. It's how do we actually make true we are an extension of your HR team? And I think, anyone who works closely with Mayela will know that she is an absolute rock star. And but I love the framing of kind and supportive and educational internally, and then an absolute bulldog in the marketplace when you're trying to negotiate.
She's scary.
I love it in the best ways. And so that's kind of the human part. Maybe you've been educating. Actually, in some ways, you have taught me about things that HQ can do that I had actually, use cases I hadn't thought. Maybe talk about the technology side of this experience.
Yeah, so like I mentioned,
sort of wild.
Yeah, so we weren't initially allowed to use HQ because our IT team wanted to see Nava have their SOC certification first. So and thankfully, you all quickly got it. So I've been using HQ just for a few months now. One really cool example that actually just happened today. So, I'm a team of one. We do have another person on our team, an HR admin, who just started about a month ago, and she tries to take first line at some of the benefits questions. And I saw an email come in today from a new hire, and she had I don't know, 5, 6 questions on our benefits. When do they start? What are my options? What's the difference between the plans? How much is the deductible? How much is the out of pocket? Tons of questions, which I might have spent, I don't know, an hour, half an hour answering if I wanted to be thoughtful, or if I wasn't thoughtful, I'd say take a look at our benefits website. But I saw that email come through at 12:45, and at 1 o'clock, the person on our team wrote back a very detailed answer with like charts and a breakdown of all the plans and like the difference between HD, high deductible and PPO, EPO. And I know she used HQ, fed those questions from the new hire into HQ, and got this amazing response that she was able to email back within 10 minutes. So, I mean, that's one awesome use case. Another use case, when our CEO or my boss, the VP of people, comes to me and says like, oh, how many people are in this plan, that plan? What is our estimated cost going forward for our benefits? I used to go into Workday and pull the benefits census and pivot table and everything to kind of give that data to him. Now I can just go into HQ and like literally just type that and say, give me a slide deck with all of our plans and the cost and the enrollment, and it spits it out within 5 minutes in this slick slide deck, which is like that you can download and send, and it makes me look really good.
Ooh, love that.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
I love to hear it. I think but maybe before we get on to the next topic, one thing that you taught me about, and I think that's a thing that's so interesting about let's call it the generation of technology that we are now sort of entering, is the net new scenarios and use cases that you never thought were possible that might be possible. And you talked about, I think you onboarded a new employee, and I just thought it was such a clever way for you to do this. Do you want to maybe tell that story quickly before we get into the member story?
Don't know what you're
I think it was the new HR person.
Yeah, that's the story I just told.
Yeah.
Like, she's answering questions without having me to train her at all on our benefits program.
That was the frame. That was the frame that was a little bit different.
Yeah.
You're like, the training was HQ, which was kind of it was like, just go to HQ and ask it a bunch of questions about our benefits and whatnot. And I was like, I hadn't even thought of that, actually, as sort of a way to just accelerate personalized onboarding for someone in the people ops team or somewhere outside. And I was just like, Tina, I need to steal that one from you, and we're going to go turn that into a core scenario for the product.
It's so really accelerated her ability to help out and just take those questions off my plate, which really take a ton of time. I wish I had a comparable thing for payroll, because I do spend a lot of time too. If anyone works for Workday out there.
Donald, where's the product? Okay, product roadmap guy. Maybe transitioning a little bit. I think about sort of just the moments. I think one thing that is striking to me, you've said this in all the time that I've known you, even in the prep here, you're like, we're a team of one. I've got a ton of people that I'm supporting, a lot of complexity, but the sort of Kiavi way is like, how do we deliver a great employee experience? How do we do great with our employees in a budget-constrained world, et cetera? And maybe I just want to talk to me about how you capture sort of the employee side of things, right? Maybe is there an employee story, a specific moment that, where either Nava stepped in or supported you on helping employees, kind of do the thing that we're talking about, which is get access to healthcare?
I mean, we really do at Kiavi, we're kind of, we go with the ups and downs of the market. And, the last 5 to 6 years have just been crazy up and down for real estate. So, our benefits plans, we sometimes have to pull things back. And it's not a great experience for our employees if we're like, yay, we're making money, here's all the things, and then I'm sorry, we have to pull some of those back because the market's not great. So going forward, we're really trying to kind of be steady and consistent in our benefits, and we might not always be able to give new shiny programs to our employees, but what we can do, and what is important to me, is making sure that what we have supports them and that we are supporting them as well. So, for example, we don't want our insurance carriers or our plans to get in the way of people's quality of life. So, the other day I had an employee come to me and, their Cigna just was rejecting claim after claim for her husband, who was really gravely ill and in the hospital. And, she was really stressed out about it. Not a great time to have to deal with billing issues. I'm sure everyone has had employees like that. And so I just said, Mayela, can you please help this woman get this resolved with Cigna? And Mayela reached out directly to Cigna. Cigna, they took me out of the equation, so I didn't have to be involved with this employee's personal, her husband's personal health issues. And she worked directly with Cigna, and within like, I don't know, a week, everything was resolved. This woman could go back to, taking care of her husband, taking care of her work, and not having to deal with this kind of loop of like, denials and bureaucracy with Cigna. And that those kinds of situations, like, that's what I love. Like, it's not just that Nava is helping, it's like they're helping really quickly and with heart.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I mean, I think that's like why all of us are here and drawn to it, is at the end of the day, behind an insurance plan, behind a carrier bill, et cetera, is someone just trying to get access to healthcare. And I love the way that you guys frame it up too. Maybe we talk about sort of business side of benefits. Last year, I talked about it earlier, was I think by most people's estimation, like the worst benefits year in most people's careers. Maybe talk a bit about the situation that Kiavi was going in. How did you and us navigate it together? Talk about renewal strategies.
Yeah, so my benefits career is short, but that was the worst. Yeah. We were looking at like 24% renewals on our fully funded plan. And like I mentioned, we didn't have a lot of options because we weren't really ready yet to move into an alternate funding situation. So we had Nava went out and they shopped the plan around. They modeled like what would it look like if we took reduced the current offerings that we had. What would it look like if we increased employee contributions? And we were able to present that information to our CEO, CFO, and just show them like, here's the impact on our bottom line. Here's the impact on employees. And what they really saw was, okay, yeah, it's going to hurt our bottom line, but it's really going to hurt our employees with a 24% renewal. And we were actually able to make the case not only to keep our plans as is, but also to eat the cost of that 24% renewal, which I was really proud of our company for doing that, and for Nava like kind of helping us. Nava for helping us, step through that process with our stakeholders. I don't think that's the long-term solution. Mayela's going to get us there, but we have to really be conservative in how we step into, an alternate funding program. Yeah,
you guys have so much PTSD from the prior, the prior regime. I think that's I think one thing that I took away from our conversation too is like, the business case is the crux there. Like, how do you make a business case to a CEO and a CFO, et cetera, for the decisions you're making? And then I think the journey of getting you guys back to, let's call it an alternative funded, maybe more efficient health plan is a journey of education.
Right.
And sort of at each moment, and Mayela and the team, I think, doing that education so that you'll be prepared when the team is ready.
And I think just having Nava on our side and showing that they are a solid partner is going to go a long way when we do try and make that case to our stakeholders.
I think that's such a good call out. And for the folks that are in HR and benefits in the room, I think there's a little bit of maybe a misnomer or misconception that like the time that we talk about so-and-so strategy is the moment that we're ready to do the strategy. Like it's 3 months away. Let's consider going to an unbundled self-plan. And that's just not the right approach. And I think one of the things that I would strongly encourage folks in the room to do is like, let's go educate the audience on alternatives to the fully insured BUCA sort of hamster wheel that exists 2 years in advance of when we are actually ready to take that step. Because by the time we are ready, your finance team, your accounting team, your CFO is like, I get it now. Okay, I get it. And I think it's a big part of our job and Mayela's job and the team is to sort of take the organization on that journey to go, we're ready now, right? Are we ready? And I loved how you framed that up too. And I think we're on that journey for you, which is cool. You had a really bad experience on, a poorly administered self-funded plan, et cetera, and that way they get you back into what's a great version of that look like. I love the partnership between you, Rick, and Mael on that. I think it's really interesting. Maybe, we've got just about a minute left. I think last one for you, looking ahead. A lot of things are changing. What are you most excited about in what's coming? I know, what would you tell an HR leader in this room, that you're most fired up about and you want?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited about more that's coming out with HQ and the AI capabilities. I think that's going to really just be able to let us up-level our benefits program with not actually having to, add headcount. I'm really excited about, some of the features like a chat bot in Slack, so that can give employees even more quick access to their benefits questions and take some of that work off of my team. And I'm really looking forward to things like compliance and
You want that compliance dashboard.
Yeah.
I can
Sorry,
tell.
I got stuck on compliance because that's what they really
She's
want.
like,
My legal team really wants
Donald,
compliance
for the last
security.
2 weeks, she's like, when does my compliance dashboard and Nava light up?
Yeah. So I'm really looking,
love it.
and you say it's coming, so I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the time. And I'm just pumped to see, I think that for me, what really kind of gets me out of bed every morning is sort of thinking about how do you give like a team of one the leverage to feel like you're operating like you got a team of a bunch of people. And I think you've just been stellar doing that for Kiavi and the organization. So how do we do more of that together? That's what gets me fired up.
Yeah.
Awesome.